Hotel projects. How to organize the project configuration with MyHOME suite. To develop an hotel project, you can follow two directions. From a new project, you can add one by one every device and then you have to configure them. From an existing file that contains pre-configured rooms, you can modify the composition in base of the needs. I run MyHOME suite and I begin a new project. If the system is greater than 100 rooms, I have to add and configure the IP server F458. Here I write the customer data. I change the configuration IP server only if it is necessary to change the network settings. Only if the LAN is different from the classic 192.168.1xx, then you have to change the default settings. I begin now to build the hotel structure, adding floors and rooms. Start by adding a building, then a floor with its level, and assign to it a name. Add a room, then convert it into a common area and give a custom name. I will fix the MAC address later. For the moment, I build the rest of the system, adding rooms and the relative items. I add one floor and one room. Once verified the assigned name, I add the products into the room. Click Edit Room to add the relative components. One MH201 was added by default. Please note there is a mistake, because the MH201 has the same common area MAC address. I'll fix later the error. Now I begin to add the hotel relative devices. I look for a key-fob switch with RFID and I insert it. I add one Do Not Disturb Make Up the Room reader. And finally, I insert, as an example, one actuator. Added all the necessary items and now I choose what I have to do. If you then prefer to send the configuration through ID, remember to write in the code and add a name. I remind you that you can configure the devices with two different methods: using the ID, pushing the button. If you want to configure with the ID, report them to remember where they are. If you configure by touching the product, you can also ignore to enter the data. I go ahead and I configure the key-fob that it has to start an MH201 scenario. For the configuration details, please go to see the Hotel Technical Guide. Even for the outdoor key reader, I let it run an MH201 scenario. I configure finally the last actuator. After setting the various items, I switch to configure the MH201. For the MH201 configuration details, click on the link below. Also remember to create the scenarios. Fixed the scenario module, I return to the structure to compose the rest of the project. If the rooms are all the same, I can copy this one just done and use it n times. Here, for example, the rooms are all different, so it is better to compose them one by one from zero. Here, as the rooms are all the same, it is definitely faster to copy the first and paste it n times. I copy the room just did and I paste it on the same floor. If needed, I add other floors and again I paste the room. Since the rooms are clones, MyHOME suite detects some errors. These two parameters have to be set: unique code, MAC address. To assign the MAC address, I can insert it by hand or to scan the MH201 and drag drop it on the room. In the project, I had marked where I installed the MH201, and here, recognizing them by their MAC address, I assigned them to the rooms. Now it means only to change the scenario module Unicode. Then, within each room, I have to change this parameter. Here I verified the unique code and the room name. The first one is OK, so I send to it the configuration. I contact the MH201 doing a LAN search. Recognized the MAC address, I go ahead to send. I do the same for all other MH201. I modify the code and I send the setting. The errors are now gone. Even at the structure level, each room now has its MH201 with the correct MAC address, description and unique code. Now I've just finished. It misses only to export the hotel supervision software file.